Welcome back. You're watching Countdown. I'm Owen Thomas. Let me show you the trio trying to salvage News Corp's reputation as the phone hacking scandal engulfs the news of the world. Britain's most profitable tabloid will publish its last edition this Sunday, but Rupert Murdoch, his son James, are standing by the former editor Rebekah Brooks, who's now the co-CEO of News International.
Rebekah and I are absolutely committed, and this company is absolutely committed to doing the right thing. And what that means is about cooperating and working fully with the police investigations into those alleged practices and into those activities. It's also about making sure that we're putting in place the processes, that we understand what happened, and we have processes in place and a process in place to actually make the thing not to make sure that these things don't happen again.
Well, for more on this and the potential damage to the News Corp brand, let's talk to Jonathan Gabay. He's the founder of Brand Forensics.
Morning.
Good to see you. Just how much has this scandal damaged News Corporation?
I think that what they've done in terms of actually closing the news of the world is a very astute move, actually. Because, first of all, last week, the amount of brands that were refusing to advertise was growing and growing and growing with that particular newspaper. Now, morally and ethically, what would have happened is that if they would have stopped advertising in that paper, it could have started growing into other publications that he was dealing with. So I think he did the correct thing in terms of, closing down the news of the world from that point of view.
But from the ashes of the news of the world could rise the Sun on Sunday. Surely it's the sister paper already on 6 days a week.
Oh, absolutely.
So this is more of a rebranding exercise, do you think?
Well, I think it's a very astute exercise, because what's happening, the more that you and I speak about this, and around the UK, Europe and the world, they're actually speaking about this story, what's happening is the more that people are anticipating the rise of the Sun. So it's the end of the world, but the rise of the Sun. However, in terms of, a lot of people have asked me, well, what about the fact that, these executives are still there and that sort of idea? Well, they are sticking, James is sticking with these executives. But, you've thought about this as a plot of a movie, okay? And at the moment, everyone's thinking, well, she should go, or this one should go, or that one should go. Well, what they can do is hold the audience, and then say, we will capitulate, and she will go.
Clearly, the B-Sky-B deal is more important to Rupert Murdoch than the newspaper. Is this all part of just trying to oil that political machine?
Well, first of all, from a political point of view, from a government point of view, they would say that it would have absolutely no effect, okay, because they have to go through due process and stuff like that, which they are doing. Although, if you've got someone who says to you, I'm going to actually close an entire newspaper because I want to show that we're doing the right thing, it has to have some sort of influence.
In Britain, the newspaper brand is far more important, I guess, and noticeable to the great British public than News International.
Yes.
I'm wondering just how much the damage will be to other brands in the stable. Do you think, actually, when we're talking about the minority holding they have in Sky, or whether it's the Times or the Sun, that people actually realise that this is all the same company?
Well, it's not just in News International, to be honest with you, because what's going to happen now is that the entire industry has got to start thinking, this could happen to us. Not saying that anyone's doing anything untoward, but what will happen is that it will be now much tighter in terms of the entire industry. But that gives a different problem, because then what happens is that you start having people starting thinking, well, how much will the state actually have an influence over the freedom of the press? And so the story gets more and more and more interesting. But in terms of closing the news of the world, only from a branding point of view, first of all, it is very sad, because actually, not just because it's an institution, but actually because of people's jobs, and we're talking about real lives here. So that's the most important thing from my point of view. But the second thing is that from a branding point of view, what it's saying is that there has obviously been a major problem here. So what we're going to do is we're going to demonstrate to brands, to sponsors, to advertisers, to everybody that we will deal with this. And hopefully that will have a knock-on effect in terms of people thinking, well, they dealt with that, and so therefore, we can trust them with the other stuff.
Historically, can you think of anything else that's been in quite this scale of closing down a brand to protect the major company?
I think, well, it's been an interesting couple of weeks, for Murdoch et al. And because of MySpace. because, of course, they got rid of MySpace as well. So it's come at a rather opportune moment from a financial point of view, because it's becoming a leaner, meaner machine.
As if it could get any leaner and meaner, perhaps. Jonathan Gabay, really good to talk to you.
Lovely.
Thank you very much indeed for joining us here on Bloomberg today.